It don't matter what I try, I just can't win and I don't know why. There's a fork in every road, I pick the wrong one and then I go. American loser, yes I am, disenfranchised from everything. Well, I fall up and I fall down, an American loser the day I was born.
You know it, folks. Hey, we're in studio. We're live. If you're here with us, I really appreciate that. What an awesome little video vignette of the 3 years of losing in style here at a Shared Universe podcast studio in Bell Labs, New Jersey, baby, all right? The heart and soul, man.
That's it.
As you guys know, my two dads are here, all right? No, it means a lot to me. So, of course, LP, real quickly, just say hello to the fans. Thank them for
this is
3 years.
Awesome. This is awesome. 3 years we've been doing this shit, and people are still listening.
It feels pretty
Are
good.
you really that surprised?
Oh, it's the truth. And you guys know the voice behind the ones and twos back there, the man, the master, the Wizard of Oz himself, the Big Kahuna, whose real name we revealed recently.
Yeah, what's up,
Behind the
gentlemen?
curtain, in front of the curtain, he's just the man, the wizard.
Pay no attention to the afro behind the curtain.
And a guy that I've gotten to call one of my good friends, a guy who I harass via text message on a weekly basis, the guy who happens to run the studio here, my friend and yours, the merciless Ming Chen, brother. Thank you so much for being here, dude.
What's up, everybody? Good job, son. Good job. We're really proud of you. Your two dads are very proud of you.
Now imagine a world where I was adopted by you, and then, see, my parents, they could have gotten away with it. They didn't have to tell me. You know what I mean? At some point, we're going to have that conversation.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm noticing I have these blonde hair and blue eyes, and my face looks like a retired cop.
Just don't ask questions.
I need to know, and you don't need to know.
It's awesome to be here, man. Just to give you guys the scoop real quick, you know the deal. We went ahead, and Stu Greenberg's already in the chat. We knew that. All right, Nick Franco, the ante is upped, Nick Franco.
That's right.
All right.
The gauntlet has
$10, he's the next comment.
I'll tell you what, Nick Franco might still be nursing a hangover from the wonderful time he had at the after party of Escape from Jacksonville, my first album that we recorded. Where else? At the Smod Castle. All right. We thought about doing it here. You just didn't have enough chairs, Ming. That was the problem.
Oh, yeah, no problem. I mean, and you're the first, official show there, really. Everything else was Kevin related. So
that part felt good.
That was cool.
Yeah, it was great. They finally got to charge money, for it. But it was awesome, man. Hey, Chris Cullen in the comments there. Chris, thank you for coming out, dude. He came up, sat up front, man, and he didn't bring his cousin that maybe had a couple few too many nachos at a certain Count Basie show recently.
Oh, did you get thrown up on too? Oh, dang.
Oh, man. No, this is, we're riding a hot streak, man. Clerks 3 wrapped up production. I got 2 of the stars of it here with me today.
Really?
One Big Kahuna and one Ming Chen.
I gotta try it. Pack of cigarettes.
Well done, sir. Well done.
Did I nail it?
Yeah, you got it. Perfect.
It's the truth,
Cut,
man.
print.
But with everything going on here, and by the way, just so you guys know, the esteemed Christian Cortez was the director of Escape from Jacksonville, did an amazing job, made me feel like the beautiful princess that I am. All right.
It didn't take much convincing.
Tiara and all. But no, buddy, he did such a phenomenal job. I haven't even seen any of it yet, but just the feedback I've been getting. Your crew was awesome. Everybody who came out to the show was incredible. The comics that were there for me, of course, I could not have done without Joe Fernandez and, of course, the great Jackie Byrne. And very cool moment, too. We didn't build a View Askew universe, all right? We haven't quite done that yet. But in our weird loser universe we have, Dad, it was kind of a cool moment to have people outside sitting there saying, like, oh, hey, that's Mike Zapsik. There knows,
right.
And then other people are like, oh, it's great to finally meet you. I've heard you on so many episodes of American, and people are meeting other guests or meeting other guests and listeners and Patreon people, and it just means the world to me, man. This was my dream project. I thought it was going to be a book. Then we found out how hard it is to write books, and then I said, Ming, how about can I just talk a little bit? And Ming's like, yeah, well, we've made it happen, dude. It's literally the Saint Ming of founding losers.
It was also 3 years ago today that you made the horrible mistake of not telling me to shut the fuck up.
It was a Grover Cleveland episode, and I was like, what do you think about that, Kahuna?
Nah,
And
that was your own fault, dude.
That's right. You leave the door open, that's what happens.
Well, I'm trying to think of what the right sitcom reference would be, but I think it was like we thought it was just going to be like like a background player kind of like what's the guy on Friends or whatever, Gunther, the guy who
Yeah,
yeah, the
You're Steve Urkel. He was only supposed to be one episode.
That's right.
Oh man, no, it's perfect.
Urkel.
Or I'm sure I bet you that that there's a couple other people from the Clerks universe. I don't think that Jay and Silent Bob knew that they were going to be the titular characters of so many movies down the road. Too.
Yeah.
But eventually we'll all be working for Kahuna, so it's good to have him here now while he's on the rise. Still keep him in check a little bit.
We can say we knew him when.
It's the truth, man. But thank you so much to everybody who came out for that one. It means a lot. All right. It has been 3 years. You're goddamn right, Bill. You're goddamn right. It's been 3 years. And because I'm an asshole, I had to sit there and I had to write a term paper every week. I don't get to come on here and just riff about something cool in the news.
You were just saying that you did this instead of writing a book. It would have been a whole lot easier to write a book.
I think we probably hit the book by now. But the biggest thing here is the people over at the Founding Losers. You mean a lot to us, all right? Every listener counts, but the Founding Losers are the reason why we get to keep this, all right? I've literally been paying. Sometimes money gets tight, and Ming lets me pay in some of this Confederate gold that we have at the house. But because of the Founding Losers, you guys let this thing happen, man. It means a lot to me. The album's going to come out. I think we're aiming for sometime. You tell me, actually.
Like late October?
Late October. I'm thinking Halloween, baby. You know what I mean? Cool. And then the film version of it will come out a while after that. We're going to sit there and enjoy some album sales for a little bit. But it's all been a culmination of that. And by the way, I was able to hire the esteemed services of one Christian Cortez. I'm using his given name as the artist.
The government name, man. Oh, wow. Put me out there like that. All right.
We were able to afford it because I picked up a couple other side hustles. I've been saving up my money very, very carefully. And Ming's been working with me on a couple things here in order. The studio time is accounted for. The show's not going away. And we just took all the money out of that Patreon and pretty much just signed it away on a giant check that said Kahuna.
Yeah.
That's right.
And that's why the dream is happening the way it is, man. But it means a lot, and I'm excited to be here with you guys. So this one's cool, man. Ming, question for you, dude.
Yes.
Be honest.
Okay.
How many podcasts? How many podcasts have come through here and probably had a lot of fun, and then one thing leads to another, and then they either just stop doing it?
Oh, a good number. Good number. Yeah, 10, 12, 20. I've lost count. It happens all the time.
A start and stops.
Yeah, you have fun for a while. It's like a good party. It's great in the beginning, and then you want to go home by the end, by about 3 o'clock in the morning. You're ready to go home. But guys like us,
you want to go to the diner, get some real drunk food.
Guys like us,
we keep going, man. 5, 6. We're like the Keymaster, man. We have make sure everybody gets home okay, and then we keep going, and then we go and get Aerosmith tickets, man.
That's the
like
move.
Dazed and Confused, man. So
that is, I will say this: nobody, the jet setting that you do is remarkable. And
unbelievable.
Sometimes he's like in Austin, Texas. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. He's at a dive bar on social media, and then he still gets back to me about a text, just letting me know, "Oh, Christian's running a few minutes late today."
Yeah. Don't worry, he's coming. He's on his way.
That's predictive text.
He's on his way. So, I always taking care of you. Always making sure you're taking care of whether I'm in Austin, Texas, or Texas, Austin. Like wherever.
Whatever.
Yeah.
What? So,
Paris, Texas, or wherever.
Yes.
It's been the move. Could be in. Now, by the way, I'll just throw this one out there for you guys because I've tried this as a joke on stage, and I can't make it any funnier than what the actual truth is. Ming, have you been to Rahway, New Jersey before?
I've been through Rahway. I think my mom told me not to stop in Rahway. I don't want to stop in Rahway.
They
got going. Yeah, Rahway State is it's a certain kind of a place.
Sure.
But anyway, Rahway's original name was, I shit you not, Spanktown. It was named Spanktown. And they have changed the name. By the way, the town was named, supposedly, this is the story, that the early settlers were coming through there, and then one of the guys who went on to be one of the first mayors of what became known as Spanktown just bent his wife over in the middle of the entire town, the wagon party, and just started spanking her on a hill. And then they're like, oh, well, we should probably just name our entire town after this, right? And they did. And there was actually Civil War action. Not Civil War. American Revolutionary War action, known as the Battle of Rahway now, because they changed it because for a long time.
The Battle of Spanktown doesn't really have the nice.
Dad was killed in Spanktown.
Yes. Your father wakes up and screams about the things he saw at Spanktown. Because Jersey's just a weird place, dude. It's a weird place.
But it is the center of the universe, as we've proven time and again.
Really, there's no way around it, man.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'll say this to you as well, too. Ming, if I could ask you, I'm not putting you on the spot.
Okay.
Here. All right. Is there any episodes that we did that stood out to you?
Typhoid Mary was probably my favorite.
Yep. That poor bitch.
Just a hard-working girl and trying to make her way in life. And
Right. Didn't tell anyone. No one told her what to do, when to stop, and when to stop.
When to stop.
And when to stop.
and even when she was told, she just
It was no.
did a side shuffle and
she
came
was
up again. And
She was tracked down by literally a shit detective. Not a detective who's bad at his job, a shit detective that was in the sewers just sitting there saying, seems to be a lot of typhoid nearby. Any Irish female cooks in the area? So, no, she was a favorite, and people were bringing up that too because of the typhoid scare. Unfortunately, it had a lot of people were going back and listening to that episode again saying, well, what was the typhoid freak out? Because that was right at the start of COVID. And,
Right. Then it happened again at DJ's in Belmar, right? Didn't that happen not that long ago? So
there's been a lot of diseases over the years at that place.
shout out DJ.
That's DJs in my car. BELMAR. But this one's fun, man. We're having a couple of Guinnesses here to appreciate because we had last year the 2nd year anniversary show. I had a lot of personal stuff going on. It wasn't a great time for me. But as Kahuna said, we're riding the high right now, LP. Of the work we did this year, is there anything that stands out to you as your favorite episode we did? Because we had to do some weird podcasting stuff.
Yeah, there was some good ones in year 3, that's for sure. I'm just looking over the list here to kind of refresh the memory, but
because Ming may or may not have forgotten to lock the doors a couple of times, and we perhaps were podcasting.
I love it. Wow, look how consistent you guys were. It's amazing.
We were good that way. No, that's why I did the show with my dad because nobody motivates me to work hard like you, sir. You know that, right?
Nobody motivates you to write a term paper every week like your dad.
On the dot, on the money, man.
And
I think the one that we should have saved for Mother's Day would be Hetty Green, the Witch of Wall Street. I mean, she was just filthy rich, had money coming out the wazoo, just killed it on Wall Street. And yet when her own son is injured, she tries to take the kid to the free clinic and is recognized and is turned away. And rather than going out and paying for the medical attention that this kid desperately needed, she said, you'll be all right. We'll treat you at home. And then the kid later had to have his leg amputated because she refused to have the kid taken care of by professional medical staff. But like, holy cow, lady!
The next year for Christmas,
with a couple of bucks, but really,
next year for Christmas, she gave him the game Operation. You just learn how to do it on yourself now. Yeah,
fix yourself.
But no, Typhoid Mary definitely is one of them. Hetty Green's definitely one of them. But we've collected this. I thought this was going to be the original idea for this was, and I still might do it. And I probably shouldn't say it out loud, but you know what? We've only got about 8 people listening right now, so to hell with it. That's the original idea for this was going to be a book that was going to cover the loser of every presidential election. That's what I was going to do.
Right.
It's not an election year yet. It's going to get there, so I have some time to sit down and write this. And I'm going to go ahead and do it. We're going to do it in chapter, and that's when we found some of the great names. I know Nick Franco already said it on there. William Jennings Bryan, one of that guy's like a hero to me, one of the big time.
He was a 3-time presidential loser.
Oh yeah, and he got screwed over by the full force of the machine every single time. Yep. It was pretty. Sometimes the machine was known as Teddy Roosevelt. So then you can't really. What do we do? We teach you guys anything on this show? Someone write it in the comments so we can blast it up there.
Yeah, who's learned something? Who out there learned something today?
Who used us as a Wikipedia source?
What fun fact have you come across by listening to American Loser?
Tell me anything you think about on there, but we know the one big thing that you guys have learned on this show, if nothing else, don't fuck with TR.
TR.
All right?
Man.
Yeah.
He the man.
He's hard to beat on that one, man. We covered a lot of good ones here this year for Loser, though. It's and I like Nick Franco. Yep, of course, he was the Buffalo Bills of presidential elections.
Just couldn't pull out that victory.
Oh my God!
Wide right.
Good Lord.
Oh man, no, it's a wild one though. So we're going to get right into it here. We're not going to keep you guys hostage. We're very happy to be here. Ming's family is arranging to pay the ransom money that we're holding him for.
That's in Dogecoin now, right?
It's in Doge, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. We're going to start. We're going to go all the way back to September of last year, and we had for whatever the circumstances were. I think it was so my best friend growing up as a kid, all through high school, a guy that we were just diehard comedy fans together in high school. He's one of the funniest human beings I ever met. He was doing stand-up and he was very good at it, but he had one of the funniest quotes ever. He asked a booker that we worked for in Montclair, New Jersey at Tierney's Tavern. Right. He asked her after a show, he had a good set that night, and he goes up to her and he goes, "Hey, Pat, how come I'm always up first? How come I can't go up later in the show?" And she just looks him right in the eyes and goes, "You get too drunk. I have to put you up before you can get too drunk." So that is, of course, my one of my best friends of mine, ever, Nate Condit. And I will say this, by the way, too, real quickly. I won't pour any out on Ming's floor out of respect here, but we lost possibly the funniest human being of all time today. Rest in peace, Norm Macdonald, the greatest Conan interviewee ever.
Norm.
Damn.
Yeah.
Got real here for a second.
He was my favorite, man, with absolutely. And I wanted to give them a second here because we know the fans of this show are diehards. First of all, we got Milwaukee Tom, who, by the way, I don't know if you know this, LP.
No.
Milwaukee Tom pulled off a feat. He took one of those nice little American Loser stickers and slapped it up at the location over where TR was shot and then finished his speech.
Really? Oh,
Yes.
when he got
Wow.
shot. Yeah.
Yep. So we also got back on, let's see, hang on, what's the other place we got it over where the Molly Maguires, where
Right,
the prison.
in Pennsylvania.
And, yeah, I posted one of our stickers up there.
Right.
We're trying. I'm sure they scraped them off the wall of a couple of the weird dive bars in Jacksonville when I made my escape down there to January. But
They still might be found above their urinals in a number of different establishments, but
it's
That one beats mine by a country mile. They probably scraped the sticker I put up at the Popeyes drive-through off by now.
Let's see. Bill McCallan, is that it? Bill McCallan. I've learned that if you have a place like a shared universe and a good staff or dedicated team, you can have a successful podcast the last 3 years. You're goddamn
Heck
right.
yeah,
okay?
man.
You're goddamn
Right on,
right.
Bill.
No, this shit doesn't happen without you guys because I've tried other podcasts before. I've had other people talk to me about going to other networks or why am I not doing it on my own. It's because I'm lazy, all right? It's because I'm lazy. And also, Milwaukee Tom, you are right. Smedley Butler is a bad motherfucker. That's the real life Captain America, if you guys don't know.
Smed, he is,
Oh, my
he is
God.
badass to the core.
Old Gimlet Eye. Cousin Megan, how are you? Cousin Megan, please keep your identity hidden if you can. There's some people on here who keep asking about you.
Right.
I'm teasing here. But it's a fun one, man, so far. So I'm going to dive into this real quickly. And the guy I was talking about was my best friend, Nate Condit. He came on to be the guest for an episode we did about, the Ford versus the Dodge brothers. That nice little rivalry on that
little
one.
hidden intrigue there for sure.
There were so many people that were diehard Ford fans that were listening to that episode, and Nate kept shitting on the Fords nonstop. And he got all three levels of drunk. He got tipsy, he got hungover drunk, tipsy drunk, and then sloppy drunk, and then was still funny throughout though.
Right.
So that's my problem. His car crash is a funny one. So he came on, and there were people that are diehard Ford fans that sat there and they said, no, he fucked the Dodge brothers over royal.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then there's other people who are like, I used to think Dodges were crappy, but now after hearing how awesome the Dodge brothers were,
Right. And the innovations that they came up with was pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. Now it makes me regret that I drive a Kia Soul sometimes, you know what I mean? But it is what it is, all right? Next one. This is the one that got us the most attention. This is the one that got us the most hate. And a couple weird, funny things that happened here.
Yeah.
Demo Dick Marcinko, the man who created SEAL Team 6. All right, Ming, you were actually our engineer for that.
Yes,
one.
I was.
And it was one of those ones where you just you're always doing something in the background. But I think a couple of times we actually just caught you, and you're like, "Hang on, let me make sure I'm hearing this."
Yep. I had to look it up.
Hang on, what season of 24 is
Yeah,
this?
I had to look it up.
Right. The
So-
takeoffs on that. They captured a nuclear submarine?
Yeah, the SEALs were working against us at one point.
Right.
Hang on, who was in charge here?
That was all to show our vulnerability, and that really kind of pissed off the higher-ups. So.
It worked. And like I said, I have friends that are members of that community, and they still tell me that to this day, Demo Dick is persona non grata up there. That episode is out in full over on YouTube, too. It is like 20-something thousand listens on that one. Very, very honored to have that one. And then two of the funniest things ever. One of the guys was saying, I wish this guy would just shut up and let the real veteran Demo Dick speak. So this listener, who he's not a regular listener to this show because our listeners are smart,
Right.
thought that
We have them book smarts.
my father's voice is so commanding that he thought it was Demo Dick
Took me as
Marcinko,
Demo Dick.
commander of fucking SEAL Team 6, right? He thought it was that. And then on top of that, he thought that I needed to shut up even though I'm the Navy veteran. And then another guy shit all over us, and he goes, I can't believe how much this guy likes hearing himself talk. And I wrote back to him, I said, it's a podcast, dude. What do you, I don't know what you want me to do.
Radio silence.
Yeah.
Read your thoughts. I don't know.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
well, you know, I told him, Ming, I said, listen, sir, please send me your address and I'll refund you all the money you didn't spend on this,
Right.
you jerk off. After that legendary one, Uncle Paulie came in. Uncle Paulie came in hot for the Great Chicago Fire. It's a little bit of it's more of a myth that the cow didn't really start the fire. But, you know, if Chicago's going to burn, it's probably because CM Punk had something to do with it. I think that's... Lawrence Patrick, one of your favorites over here, the mysterious Agent 355.
355, yeah. We went from the Great Chicago Fire back to Revolutionary War times with Agent 355. And to this day, we still don't know exactly who Agent 355 was, but
It was Caitlyn Jenner, baby.
Oh, good
the
lord.
spy network that was set up with through New York City and Long Island and everything. It was pretty.
Yeah, those the
pretty,
Culper ring, right?
Yeah, they're right.
Yep.
Right.
Ming.
Look at Ming, huh? He's got some book
Yeah,
learning.
man.
She was signaling with her laundry as to, like, literally that without her, you don't have it in America pretty much on that one. Yep, check the laundry, Nick Franco says.
That's right.
Next up, we got right into, and we're going to be doing this again this year too. Every Halloween month, we like to get into, as the Kahuna says, spooky season. All right, we don't do pumpkin spice over here. We don't do any of that.
No.
We do tell you some fucked up stories, and we started it off strong with the horror of the SS Morro Castle. LP, what do you remember about that one?
Yeah, that was a luxury liner that had some mysterious background information to it when we started scratching the surface on that one. And of course, that one is the one that washed up onto the beach of our own Asbury Park.
You can see this if there's a picture of it up. I don't know if it's possible to share that on the video, Cahoons.
Of the more, yeah, I'll find it.
The Morro Castle, it literally washed up on the shore of Jersey.
Right by the Asbury,
Yep.
right by the convention hall.
Yep. It is terrifying to look at this and realize how many people.
It was super close.
Fire breaks out, and I don't know how many people died from that one. And it was spooky shit. And then some of the people in Asbury wanted to turn it into a tourist attraction that people come see. And then some of the other town fathers said, you know what?
But didn't they, though?
Maybe we shouldn't kind of charge people money for seeing how many people died, kind of a thing. It was bad. It was,
Tickets for a gravesite, basically.
If it was still there, I guarantee you that they'd have Springsteen chained to it.
right.
He has to play
Swim out
your
to-
hometown. But that was a brutal one to cover, too. And again, so close here. We don't intend to. We thought it was cool because, by the way, a little trivia fact that everybody wants to know. The first episode of this show was about Grover Cleveland. That's the first one we ever did.
That's right,
And
inaugural.
I found him so interesting because at the time, and this could change because it's really, we're living in unprecedented times right now. History is always going on, and that's why I love it so damn much. But as of right now, Grover Cleveland is the only president to ever serve non-consecutive terms. So it's an interesting thing here. He also happens to be from New Jersey. So we didn't mean to have this Jersey connection. It was just kind of a thing that happened. And, of course, the Morro Castle popped up there with that one, man. So it was pretty great.
There was something wild that happened actually between this episode and very recently I saw this. Someone in Asbury Park apparently has a lifeboat left from the Morro Castle.
No shit.
Yeah, someone had posted, I think, an all around Asbury, and I was like, no way. But apparently the last surviving lifeboat of the Moore Castle
The ones that
somewhere in
worked.
Asbury Park.
Right.
Yeah.
The ones that worked,
My
because there was a
God,
number
yeah.
of them that were painted shut because
There's a,
the cruise lines.
Is that next to Hitler's toilet seat? Apparently that's in Jersey too, right? So
more than likely
Squad
Long
where
Island.
Uncle Adolf popped the squad, huh?
Then we moved right into an equally spooky little scenario down there. Not quite in Jersey, just over the border, over in Philly,
Just across the river.
Eastern State Penitentiary. Ming, have you ever been over there?
Nopesville.
not that one. I've been doing, or have I? I remember going to a haunted house that somewhere around there.
It's
This is
Or a
whole
haunted
prison.
They do a haunted thing every
they
Halloween,
do.
right?
They get and here's my thing. I don't want to go for that. I don't want people jumping at me because I'll scare the shit out of myself just sitting there walking around and be like, "Oh, we used to cure. Hey, this lady's having screaming fits. Let's see if we can't cure her by jamming an ice pick into her head. That might solve the problem.
Sure.
Trust
That'll-
the science, folks."
That'll relieve the pressure.
Oh my God, it gets wild on that one. But they were very fun here. We actually had a fun family affair. We brought in the newlyweds. My sister Carrie on one of her, fresh on a family visitation day out of prison, and we brought in her wife, who joined the family and is officially Crystal Burke now too. All right, so that's sorry Parkers. She
She jumped ship. Came
You
over
really
to the
did
Burke
bring in
side.
your sister for the prison episode. I forgot about that.
well, she came in for that one too, and then her and her wife came in for the Salem witch trials one. So, and I was
Because they
sitting
were
there,
just recently were visiting.
They took a ride
Salem,
up there.
Massachusetts. Yeah.
Yeah, so they came through on that one. And Crystal was a good guest, too, by the way. She was very nervous about that, and she shouldn't have been because she was great. But they gave us a little cool insight on that. And there was a couple of strange things. But this part's my favorite because we're about to get into something strange. When we're researching this, we'll be working hyper-focused on one particular episode, right? And then what happens is that we'll check, like we'll bounce around to something else, and then we'll get lost down a wormhole, and then we're like, well, this is a whole other episode right here.
Right.
And that's
how many different cross references or overlaps from previous losers or
Yeah.
future losers, and it's just unbelievable. That
and this is where we landed on St. Clair's defeat. This is all you, sir. You found all this one.
yeah, St. Clair's defeat was, you didn't hear much about that in your high school history book, but the U.S. got the shit kicked out of them with that. I mean, this is post-Revolutionary War, but so many things happened because of St. Clair's defeat that we really kind of attribute to the National Army taking place because of that. That after the Revolutionary War, everybody was let's downsize the Army and the Navy, but at the same time, we still got to be able to protect the frontier. And St. Clair was the guy that really, as I say, got the shit kicked out of him, and we've got nothing to back him up to help him out, kind of thing. We don't have a professional standing army, but a lot of different things happened with that. Different powers were given to George Washington to kind of overcome those mistakes. So a lot of times we learn by our mistakes. So hopefully history doesn't repeat itself. But downsize the army, and then somebody's going to come along and kick the shit out of you.
It's by the way, that was the other crazy thing too when people talk about the centuries-long wars with the United States government and the Native American settlers, the first inhabitants. It sometimes just gets to this thing where it's like, oh, it's just straight massacres. That's all. No, it was close a couple times.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were pretty badass.
Yeah.
Don't really take them too lightly. Please don't. There's a reason why we named every cool thing in our military about them.
Right.
But that one was a wild one because that's also known as the Battle of Wabash. And we had listeners who were like, listen, I grew up right around here. I can't believe you guys, a couple of schmucks from Jersey, are covering this.
Covering that, right. Right. Or uncovering that, really.
Oh, yeah. Which then brought us into an important one here. William Tecumseh Sherman.
And depending on where you live in this country, he's a hero or he's the worst guy that ever
I
walked
believe
the
my
earth.
friend Daryl Tate has to spit on the ground every time he hears his name. He's a nice Georgia boy. So, but another guy who probably could have been president if he had so wanted to. Civil War hero and really just a remarkable life, man. Unbelievable. We have to get into the conspiracy part of the show now, Dad. We uncovered some things. Folks,
Right.
do you guys think bananas are racist? Do you? I'm asking you at home. Do you think bananas are racist? I'll ask my friend
We
Ming
just
Chen.
lost Kahuna.
Do you think bananas are racist, Ming?
I don't, but I hope I'm right about that.
Bananas themselves are not racist. But anytime you eat a banana, you are engaging in war crime here in the United States. There are two major companies that brought in the banana as a staple in the American diet. One of them was Dole Bananas, right?
Dole.
A guy by the name Dole led a Dole's conspiracy, if you will, who was down at, he's part of the Committee of Safety, and those are the people that unseated Queen Liliuokalani, the last monarch of the Hawaiian government. So if you ever enjoyed a Dole banana,
Or pineapple.
yeah, you overthrew Queen Liliuokalani, all right?
Congratulations, you helped
Yep.
overthrow a government.
Yep. Now, not to be outdone, there was going to be a little thing called the United Fruit Company that was going to get involved with something going on over in Guatemala, so we could bring the nice coconut and banana trades here.
Yeah, you might not recognize that name, but if we say Chiquita banana, you
Yeah.
might have a little inkling as to what we're
Yeah.
talking about.
You hear UFC, you think Chuck Liddell, Conor McGregor, Rashad Evans, but no, it's this particular UFC also is quite as damaging, if you will, and that led us right into Bay of Pigs, which we started writing, and we said, oh shit, I think I paid Ming under the table Venmo. I was like, we're gonna have to come back for another
Yeah.
episode.
Right, that was a two-parter.
It's a
for sure.
two-parter.
Because you guys finished in the middle. I remember
It was
that.
nuts.
You were coming up on the time you realized, uh-oh. And I was like, oh, crap. Because
Well, because how do you look for something to skip over on that, and you're like, wait a minute,
can't.
Castro was on late night TV.
Right.
Castro has late night credits, and I don't, and I've been doing stand up for 10 years.
Right.
That part was wild. It was nuts, man.
Castro also had the possibility of going into Major League Baseball. He was that close, that good.
Thanks, Mets.
Yeah.
But yeah, a hero, a reformer, and then all of a sudden it was like, well, this is pretty bad, and then it turned into JFK. Was he a calm, cool, collected guy, or was he actually just a millionaire playboy who was trying to bang everything that moved? The answer with everything is somewhere in the middle.
Somewhere in the middle.
That was parts 1 and 2. Now that led us to a pretty straightforward story, a refreshingly straightforward story. Ming, if you were going to throw a concert, you were going to throw Ming Fest, kind of like Wayne's World.
Okay.
Comic-Con.
Yeah.
I mean, you got
Sure.
security with that. I'm
Yeah.
sure, right?
Yeah, you and Zap doing a live podcast, and you have the opportunity to hire the Hells Angels as security.
Oh yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you do it? What
could go wrong?
Yeah, what possibly could go wrong from that?
Altamont, baby, Altamont. The Rolling Stones concert that pretty much ended the hippie movement, if you will, because I believe the Hells Angels were paid in beer. Okay. Yeah. We'll do it for free. We
Beer.
just want good seats to the show. We want some beer.
and Grateful Dead tickets.
Oh, yeah. And they had a guy, I forget the guy's name. If Ken Krantz is here watching, I mean, he's not on it, so he's not going to pay attention to that. But I love you, Ken.
Wait, there was a guest on that episode.
My one of my great buddies, a hilarious comic, Max Antonucci, who we just got back in Jersey, folks. He did some time out there. He suffered out in L.A. trying to do comedy in the most brutal time to ever be out there when there was nothing. And we finally got him back in Jersey where he belongs. But that was Murder and Mayhem at Altamont. So that was a great, great one. Next was a story that very inspiring. So how can we cover it on American Loser?
Yeah.
It's very inspiring until you realize we did something amazing, but we didn't get anything for it.
Right.
Kind of like the first 8 years of my comedy career. But Bull Simons and the Sante Raiders. I think, Ming, you might have been on this one as well. I can't
It
remember.
might have been.
So, in short, we got Vietnam POW camps, and they're getting very, very poorly treated over there. And the United States says, well, we at least got to get our boys out. And they get this dude, Bull Simons, who literally looks like he was carved out of rock. I believe in my heart Stan Lee made The Thing after him. Okay? This guy looked
Right.
badass. And they got him, and then they ran this incredible behind enemy lines Black Ops mission right deep in the heart of NVA territory, right outside of major cities, major bases.
And the training that went on with it was incredible and
Oh, yeah.
multifaceted situation with Army and Air Force and Navy all involved with this. That it was an incredible raid. That
The men were all volunteers, too.
Right.
which was incredible.
Right.
So it was.
They weren't going to tell you anything about it, so you either had to
Yep.
say yes or no.
Right.
Yep. Just sign your name on the dotted line, and we'll see you when we see you.
And the thing was, well, if Bull's involved, I want in. So, he was just badass to the core, and it was just an incredible story that the Sun Tai Raiders.
So why are they covered on this show?
Yeah, why
Because
were they
we get
losers?
there, we wipe out we beat the shit. There's, by the way, I think it was Chinese and Russian soldiers on the ground. I might be wrong about the Russian part, but they were definitely, it was that war of attrition thing where they were definitely getting funded, war by proxy, I mean.
Right.
But it got pretty wild because the Americans show up, just go full on Terminator mode on them, take care of business. And then they sit there and they get into the cages where the POWs are being kept, and they'd been moved. So the most badass rescue mission of all time, but there's
Bad
nobody.
intel. Bad intel.
And it was only like a day or two prior, right? Or even a couple of hours?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
a day or two beforehand they had moved them somewhere else. Now, because of that, and once the NVA, started to see like, oh crap, these guys can pull this shit off. That's when they started to say, well, maybe all right, let's get to the table.
Yeah, maybe we ought to have a sit down and
Please
talk
don't-
about this shit.
Don't send anyone named El Toro after us again, please. So, then a nice, fun, friendly episode
Yeah, family.
about the Kelly family killers. All right.
Wholesome people.
Yep, a family that would murder you if you stayed at their bed and breakfast.
Here's a lady. She had
Yeah, so if the mom couldn't seduce you, they'd have the pretty young daughter seduce you. And then the son would then beat you over the head, and then they would bury you, somewhere on the farm, the family farm. And I forget just how many bodies they found, but there was a wild chase that took place to go after them because they almost got away with it.
Yeah.
They disappeared in the middle of the night. And then they hunted these people down and one by one kind of killed the family off. And it was pretty strange times when you're just in a quiet town, and I think they were in Kansas, and these people are just sitting there like, well, this is, it looks like a pretty nice place. This is a decent Airbnb, right?
That's right.
Nope.
We'll stop here for tonight.
Nope. I think it was like 12 people's remains were found underneath there.
Yeah, and out
Yeah, it
in
was a
the-
lot.
Out in the pig pen too. That the pigs were eating the corpses, and it was
So there was basically nothing left.
and a trap door to deal with.
I forgot about the trap door. That's right. Go sit in the comfortable chair here. It's give you a nice view of my daughter and her sweet bosom.
That's right.
Can she get you anything? Maybe a couple of...
Because wait a minute, am I confusing this with the murder mansion or with this, where the trap door was so deep that when you fell it broke your legs, or was that the murder mansion in Chicago?
So a lot of people would die from the fall at the Kelly family killer's house.
That's
But the murder mansion you're thinking of is H.H. Holmes,
Okay.
who was murdering people at the World's Fair in Chicago.
Another episode, but that wasn't this past year.
No.
Right.
I was just confusing the two, but yeah, you're right.
That brings us to now. It got to be a little bit of a weird time because I made my sojourn down to Jacksonville because there was nothing going up here. Clubs were shut down.
Yeah.
The weather was turning to shit. And I talked to Ming, and you taught me how to do it a little bit
Yeah.
on my own if I had to. South Beach Larry had to go be South Beach Larry.
Hey.
You know,
Snow or put my ass down on the beach in the sunny climes. of
absolutely. Someone picked mojitos. That's all I'm saying.
Florida. Right.
So you were gone, so I disappeared. Stayed with some friends that I treat like family down there in Jacksonville, and we got a couple of these episodes out. But the last one we did in studio, we assembled, and it was a big one too because it was Andy High Roller was there, one of the most famous guests we've had on this show. He's about as much fun in the conversation as they get. And then we brought in our other truly fascinating man, the man from down under, Jack Steiger, came on board. Mm-hmm. And the three of us sat down and talked about Jack Parsons. And the episode got off the rails very, very quickly. And Jack Parsons, if you don't know, guys, he's pretty much the father of American rocketry. And he's having conversations with people who are, former Nazis, brought over with Operation Paperclip, all that stuff. He's dabbling in this weird kind of cool thing called the occult because he believes in sex magic. And this guy named Aleister Crowley is saying, hey, you're my student, man. I'm going to be your mentor. Here's what you do. Have you ever thought about having a massive orgy and then dedicating the orgy to whatever it is you want to manifest in your dreams? So they're practicing sex magic, the dark arts, stuff
As
like
most
that,
do.
the occult. Oh yeah, Jack Steiger was like, this is all true. All of this is true. It works. I love my friend Jack Steiger, but I believe that if he jerks off thinking about something, it comes true.
Still,
The magical powers.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
he couldn't get a ticket for Escape from Jacksonville because I sold all the tickets out, and then I thought he had bought one, so I didn't put him on my comp list. And then somehow or other he was there in the crowd that day, and I was like, maybe he meant. Right. I don't know, but I was so happy to have the two of them in here because that story makes no sense. Because by the way, Aleister Crowley's in the story. Some former Nazis are in the stories. We're talking about working for NASA and blowing up rockets and sending them into space.
So it jumps more than a Tarantino movie, is what you're
How
saying.
weird can the story get? How weird can it get when that far into the story, a guy named L. Ron Hubbard shows up, steals your wife, and runs off with all your money to start a boat business that turns into Scientology?
That's right.
Listen to that
Tom
episode,
Cruise hasn't
folks.
taken that episode down yet.
Yeah.
you're okay. You're still good.
We paint. Tom Cruise can't sue me because we both had the same barber growing up in Jersey. True story. Angelo cut my hair and his hair too. So I'll say what. Oh, Chris
All right,
Hollenbeck,
talking about
guest on the
Nazis,
show.
though, that led us right into our next little episode come the beginning of January.
So one last one that we also wanted to do. We wanted to make sure we got this one out there. This one was tough. We brought in Captain Chaos, Eric Albert himself, for these two. These were both things he knew about. Number one was Camp Siegfried, which, do you know anything? You don't have to know at all. I'm just curious what you would think Camp Siegfried would be.
I mean, it sounds German, so
It was a German-American Bund had a camp, if you will, up in, and they had a couple of them. They had one in Jersey, too,
Yeah.
right over by
They
where.
had a number
It was
of
in Long
nationwide.
Island.
It wasn't just New York, New Jersey.
And around these times, because again, the German population was so overwhelming here in America, and they're saying, well, why not? Oh, cool. Then maybe we can have a good relationship the same way these Americans are starting to warm up to England. Maybe the Germans, Germany can have a good relationship because Germany's a new country too, for the most part. Germany only really became one unified country prior to World War I. So now this Hitler fella's in there, and he goes, hey, man, I just want to get people feeling really good about me over in America. We got a lot of Germans over there. I want to have some German pride. I want them to be digging me. And what better way to do that than with some nice Oktoberfest-type parties, get you some beer. You want to go kayaking. Oh, by the way, we're going to set you up with hot German broads. He had hookers banging these or that. And this is the thing, too. I've said this before. I really have said this before. You always want to believe you're going to be noble in the moment. But if 16-year-old KP Burke was being told, hey, you with the blonde hair, blue eyes over there, you want to fuck Taylor Swift? Wait, all I got to do is join a party and wear an armband? All right, so how bad could this get, right?
Go to summer camp. Take you to summer camp.
That
yes.
sounds like the basis of a Mel Brooks movie I would love.
Well, that's what's crazy, too, is that this camp was real, and it was eventually you had a lot of political violence going on up there because people were saying, we're not going to let these Long Island Nazis have run free around here. So you talk about people fighting actual Nazis. That term's been used so much it's been watered down. By the way, it's very interesting to me that we've overused the term Nazi so much that it now describes a wide swath of people. You accidentally gentrified the word Nazi.
Right.
So very weird there. Back then, though, these were the legit Nazis, the people who were sitting there saying and believing all the terrible things. And they
Not
were
the
existing.
Illinois Nazis, the legit Nazis.
And you had a major gathering in Madison Square Garden with the American German Party or wherever they were calling
Yeah,
themselves.
the last time that Madison Square Garden was full of that many white people was Dave Matthews, 98. But that brings us around here, man. We are moving because I know Ming's got another guest coming on here shortly. Another great one that Eric Albert came up with. America's Last Pirate. Pretty much the perfect guy for this show, John Ashley. This dude was a pirate in the backwoods, the Cracker, Florida people, if you will. And it was very apropos to cover that before I went down to Florida. But this dude pretty much was the Robin Hood down there. He was a total outlaw, lived out in the swamps, did whatever he wanted, and just kicked straight ass. He was pretty great. A lot of gunfights, a decade-long feud with a sheriff that finally ended in the sheriff's son shooting him, I believe.
And he was a multifaceted individual.
The original Florida man. Great minds, buddy. Great minds.
Oh my God.
Moving on to the next one. This was the first episode I tried on my own, and it was a struggle. I remember punching my computer because I recorded the entire thing and then realized I was not recording it after I was done.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. So my poor friend Billy Barnwell had to hear me screaming about why I had to re-record an episode about a guy named Ben Bluff Wade. Now, this was very important because Ben Bluff Wade was almost the president of the United States, and he did not get to hold that office because it came down to one vote. Back at the time, before they structured things differently, there was a loophole where when Andrew Johnson, he was in trouble here, very interesting character. That there was a loophole where for a hot minute there, if he was impeached, that they were going to put Ben Bluff Wade into office.
Right.
Right.
And then Johnson only got in because Mr. Lincoln wanted to go to the theater.
And he had darkest joke of the night from you, sir.
Well, it was Hamilton, damn it. Those
That
tickets are
is,
expensive.
But that's Ben Bluff Wade, who's a very, very important guy in American history that no one knows about. So we tried to cover that one. Next, we had a trio of Florida losers. 3 very weird stories that all took place in the nearby area while I was down there. Number 1 is the exploding bishop of St. Augustine.
That's right.
Yep, they put him in. He was a very famous Catholic priest down there, and he was a bishop, and they put him in a glass case, and everybody was coming around to pay their respects to him, and they forgot that the gases from his decomposing body.
A little pressure built up.
He exploded in the church, and people were covered in bishop guts. Yeah.
Wow.
Another one of the Florida losers we covered.
That's a wake you won't soon forget.
Oh, yeah.
It was pretty bad. Another Florida loser that we covered on that one was there was actually U-boat action in World War II off the coast where I used to go surfing in the morning. When I say surfing, I mean I struggled and paddled around the water while my buddy surfed. But there's a marker that will tell you that this was U-boat action was seen over here, and I believe they sunk I think it was it might have been like a Coast Guard ship or something, because there's a great story about a sailor who is on shore having a drink. He goes, all right, I got to get back to the ship, sees the boat on fire, and he goes, I'll have a couple more. And for the life of me, I'm blanking about who that third loser was that I covered there.
It was a good one, though.
It's another one of those episodes, those ill-fated episodes I did on my own. So that moves us on to, we always try to do something because it's hack to do an MLK episode or something like that for Black History Month. Everybody knows that guy's story. Everyone should know that guy's story.
Yep.
So we covered Prince Hall instead. Prince Hall, killer guitar player. But no, he actually is the guy who pretty much up in Massachusetts, they got rid of slavery way, way earlier than the rest of the country. And Prince Hall was actually really big on bringing the Masons into a thing. So he was going to have a black fraternal society. And it was a weird thing, too, where it's kind of a cool everyone working together thing where they're saying, well, listen, we like you guys here in the Freemasons. You're a cool guy, but you can't be a member because it's kind of like a white-only organization.
So you go off and start your own thing.
So then
Right.
hilariously enough, they were then brought in. They were given a charter by Irish soldiers in the British Army who were still living stateside. And so then they got their charter that way, and then they started their own thing. And to this day, there are Prince Hall Freemason charters. They have it's almost like, seems like a lot of bikers in there. But it looks like a fun time. They do like cookouts and shit. That's going to be good food too, man. But I will say this, that brings us on to the next one, Miss Ma Barker and the infamous Barker Gang.
Hey, you got another Mother's Day episode.
Mama Fratelli.
Now, was Ma Barker actually a badass evil criminal? Or was that what she was made out to be by J. Edgar Hoover so that they could justify gunning her and her son down?
Yeah, fake news.
It depends on who you want to hear it from, man. But that was a great episode. That got us down a very fun one, too, because we always try to cover a couple interesting things here. That led us right into the Kansas City Massacre, and that was not the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah, and that was Mark Barker and the Kansas City Massacre. We're talking about the same time frame, too. We're in the 30s.
Public Enemy era.
Right. Cops and gangsters and shoot 'em ups and everything else. So J. Edgar Hoover time span. Well, he covered many decades, but where he was really cutting his teeth on capturing all these bad guys.
Well, the Kansas City Massacre was when you finally realized that the gangsters had better guns than the agents pursuing them.
Right. Maybe we ought to make sure that our agents are able to carry weapons that at least equal to what these guys, if the bad guys are coming at you with a Tommy gun, maybe we ought to do something a little more than just the local police force.
The Chicago way.
Right.
I just got to point out, Stu Greenberg just left a great comment about Ahmad Barker. Hoover wanted her wardrobe.
Oh yeah, good one, Stu. Good one, Stu.
I wanted that to be so true. They said that was. They said they made that up about him the same way that Napoleon is actually not short, but they just called him short all the time.
Really?
Yeah, Napoleon wasn't really short for the time, but they used that as a way to disparage him.
I refuse to accept that.
That's because we all want to see Danny DeVito play him. That's what the
100%.
bottom line is. So, but that brings us into this is a very strange one for me. LP, you weren't around for this. My buddy Davey Bohannon.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard of it from the song, but didn't really know the back.
Well, they blew up the Chicken Man in Philly last night, and I got a DUI in Sandy Hook. No, I love that man's music. But he does do a great song. It's one of his great songs ever, Bruce Springsteen's Atlantic City. The opening line tells the story of the Chicken Man of Philadelphia. All right, test it. He got blown up, okay, and then there was this vengeance going on between his son was on like a revenge tour, and then there was the murder of Bruno, got his head blown off in the streets. I mean, Philly was nuts. And it got uncomfortable a couple times because you realize that all the sons
It's still kind of
and
around.
cousins and nephews are all still kind
hanging
of.
around.
I'm sitting there making jokes, and KP's like, yo, chill.
I was in Philly. I won't say who it was, but she's a wonderful Philadelphia comic, and she and I were talking about it, and she mentioned someone who was very much involved in the drug game down there. And I said, oh, would that be a fun topic for the show I do with my... She goes, you can't talk about that.
That's right.
Like, I will see that person again. You're not allowed to talk about it.
Yeah.
And Davey Bowe gave us all sorts of weird stuff because his dad took him on like a walking tour of, and here's where they blew up so-and-so. And this on the left here, he was beaten mercilessly with a
That's right.
baseball bat. So
Didn't we also uncover somebody who owned property down there and was later bought out?
my favorite part of the whole thing. So if I remember right, it was the Chicken Man's son. He was
The chicken nugget.
he was given property.
Right.
Ming doesn't know this, so this is pretty great.
Okay,
The Chicken Man is blown up.
right.
He leaves his fortune to his son, and the fortune includes a tiny bar in the boardwalk of Atlantic City. And like flies are all over this place. It's nothing good going on here. So
It's Mig's kind of place, though.
Yeah, oh yeah.
yeah, it's a good
Love
time.
dives.
We'd have fun there.
I
Andy
love
High
dives.
Roller's trying to book an open mic
Oh,
over
yeah.
there, but anyway, we had a pretty good thing going on with that. Where the episode's good. Kahuna's jaw's dropping a little bit, and then when I finally said this one, we asked him to not be near a window at the time for fear of him falling through it. The Chicken Man's son made a wise business move and sold this little shitty bar on the boardwalk to future President Donald Trump.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
There's a casino on
Yes,
Wow.
and that was his the Taj Mahal.
Yeah.
was built
Yeah,
on
listen,
that property.
tonight going home, you start the car first and then come around and pick me up.
Yeah,
They were pretty cool, man. Moving on, though, because we do got to get the hell out of here shortly. So we've covered a couple good things here so far. We are caught up to the Philly Mob War, the Chicken Man. There we go. Belle Gunnis. Yep.
Another sweetheart.
Sweetheart of a girl. Total sweetheart. Like to, well, what'd she like to do, Dad?
Kill people
Chop, chop, chop.
and then
chop.
collect the money,
Yeah.
the insurance money. And not just husbands, but also her own kids. So
That's right.
Belle was a little bit of a Casey Anthony precursor. That now I'd like to contrast Belle Gunnis, the worst human being, the worst woman on planet Earth, maybe, with possibly the best, Annie Oakley.
yeah, and we've uncovered some interesting fun facts with Annie. I mean, Little Miss Sure Shot started out just trying to put food on the table for the family. So
Yeah, and the guy, she beat the best shot in town in a shooting competition, won a bunch of money, and then what happened? The guy goes, well, I guess I better marry you now. And then they lived for a short period of time in Nutley, New Jersey. Absolutely true. Worked with Edison, got caught up on their stuff. It was a cool one, man. Brings us up to the Quasi War, which we covered the hell out of.
you skipped one, bub.
Up, you know what? I I ignored that one because I sat there and I was like, oh, are my search results popping up here? Yeah, a guy by the name of Deep Throat. The guy who took down the Nixon administration gave up his info and finally confessed after he died. It was allowed to be brought up that he was, in fact, Deep Throat, and it's all been confirmed. And he's the guy who took down Nixon pretty much, and they said it was because he was getting screwed around with his job in a very high-level government position. But check that episode out there. The Quasi-War, a war nobody knows we had. We had to cover that one in depth. We went ahead and did that one. John Adams gets involved heavily with that one. Old T. Jefferson, he gets involved a little bit too. And a couple other future presidents getting caught up.
And also brought out the need that maybe we ought to have a Navy.
Yes. Unless someday we have to, some tubby kid from Jersey wants to join it.
Oh, Elbridge Gerry. That's another one.
He's coming up here shortly. We had the good Admiral Byrd that we covered, who, again, a brilliant guy, a lot of Antarctic expeditions, but he gets lost in the conspiracy theory thing. We're like, the lizard people that live underneath it. So,
and also, did he really hit the North Pole, or did he just go, well, it's close enough?
yeah. You've seen one pole, you've seen them all. You know
Well,
what
he
I'm saying?
didn't see Santa, so I don't think.
Then we moving on here. We had Howard Unruh and the Walk of Death. The first mass shooting in American history took place in Camden, New Jersey. So someone called it Taylor Ham.
Wow, that's fighting words, man.
To a whole new
Fighting
level.
words.
Yep, somebody called it Taylor Ham, and Howard Unruh just
Went
snapped.
nuts.
Yep. Very, very brutal story on that one, but a great guess with Big Rich from Jersey on that one. Elbridge Gerry, the father of gerrymandering, who was involved in the Quasi-War as well. He is the guy, when you hear the term voter gerrymandering, that's based off of him. They named the practice after him. And what have we said on this show before, Dad?
Yeah, if you have something that's
Named after
a little
you.
sketchy and it's named after you, well, that's not a real good legacy to be leaving behind.
No, it's the truth on that one. Let's see real quickly. How we doing with time? We got to get out of here?
About 20 minutes.
20 minutes. All
Yeah,
right.
15.
We'll make it 10. Moving
Soapy
on.
Smith.
Yeah, I was going to say Kahuna's two favorites we've ever covered here. Soapy
Soapy
Smith, who should be played by Gonzo in a Muppet movie.
Really?
Because he just, it's the greatest. He's such a great con man. He pulls off, it's rigged card games. It's all these little like dirtbag things left and right. My favorite thing that he pulled off though, Ming, imagine if you were like, hey guys, I got a podcast studio. Why don't you come in and record something? And then you show them the picture of them just on the TV there. And you're like, oh, who do you want to say? Your mom's listening in on the show. What do you want to say to her? And then they start waving to their mom. And then they walk out of here and they realize you don't have the internet in here. He had a telegram station that was sending no wires.
Right.
There were no wires. They had not ran wires up to that part of Alaska just yet. And he was sending fake messages. Like, oh, and if you weren't dumb enough to go send a message, then he'd send someone out into town and be like, hey, there's a message for you down at the telegraph station.
Which you had to pay for both coming and
Right.
going. So.
Indeed. So he was a very fascinating guy. Dory Miller, who has a United States Navy ship named after him, too. The hero, played by Cuba Gooding Jr., the only redeeming quality of the Pearl Harbor movie. So his true life story is a true life story. And then he died at sea a few years later on another ship.
Right.
I mean, that's one of America's heroes that we should be thanking on the regular, and we can't because him, just like John Bass alone, American heroes that we sent back out into the shit, and we didn't get them back.
Right.
So heartbreaker of a story, but everybody needs to know that guy's story, all right? We did that for Veterans Day, I think. Moving on, this was Ming's favorite. I think it's Ming's favorite we ever did. And we knew because we got the extra Facebook post about it. Three nice boys, a couple popular mechanics magazines, maybe a Sports Illustrated or two.
On two magazines.
Yep, a couple of maybe some art classes, some fake hair. We're going to escape from, I almost said Jacksonville. Escape from Alcatraz,
Oh,
baby.
yeah.
And by the way,
Such a cool episode.
it was so fun, and the movie with Clint Eastwood holds up. A lot of people see older movies, they don't want to watch it. No, watch that one. It's fucking great.
Yeah.
We covered the infamous Patty Hearst, one of the first cases of Stockholm Syndrome, or a affluenza, a nice rich girl who
My God.
wound up falling in line with her captors and is still alive, by the way. So if we're ever going to get legal action against the
Careful
show,
what you say here, Kev. No, we've
Probably
escaped.
Patty
it so-
Hearst.
can we admit when she was like super thin with like she had the cigarette in her mouth and the machine gun, and she's robbing the bank with the people that have kidnapped her? Isn't there a part of you that's like, this girl's got to be wild in bed?
Gotta be, right?
Without a doubt. But she was fascinating. Her story deserves to be heard, too. Drake's Brass Plate. The boys from Comics, Cartoons, and Craft Beer came in here. Good old John Beecroft and Joe Webbs. They got a fun show over there. Please check them out, too. They came on and we talked about a hoax of a plate that literally was a prank gone wrong. That these guys, this dude was dedicating his entire life to looking for Sir Nathan Drake's brass plate. And these guys said, well, let's make a fake one in my garage just to fuck with him. And then they lost track of the plate. And then years later, somebody found it and they brought it to the guy's attention. This guy's life's work was built upon this thing that was actually fake.
On a false premise.
Yeah, so they pretty much ruined that guy's entire academic career with the greatest prank ever pulled. So that brings us up. We did a crossover episode with my buddy Ken Krantz for his show, I Love Rock and Roll. And you know what we say, Ken? If you ask 17 times, the 18th, I'll do it. And he made it all 18.
There you go.
I love Ken, man.
Right there.
He does have a good show, though. He's really kicking ass with it. Getting
That was
some
a fun show.
He's getting some good guests, too. He really is. But
Well, tell them the name of the show, guy.
I Love Rock and Roll. We said it.
No, but what was the name of the episode that we?
Oh, our episode was Mark David Chapman and the magic of reading.
Right.
Yep.
How's that going to lead you astray?
Yep,
Well,
just-
you might assassinate people.
Yep. I'm just going to sit here and read this book that Mrs. Gaynor made me read in 10th grade. And I'm just sitting there finishing the book. And I was like, why do I want to shoot a beetle right now?
Right.
Fascinating episode there. We did some goddamn research for this next one here, all right? We went heavy on this one. 68, the Tet Offensive. I've never understood what it was. I wanted to fully understand it. And I think I believe if you guys listen to the end of that podcast, I believe you got 4 college credits.
Yeah.
We covered some shit, man.
We did, yeah. That was a lot to be said about that one, and just the whole time frame of 1968. What was the Tet Offensive?
And
That was
y'all
really
do
the
it in
turning
under
point
an
of the
hour.
Vietnam War, and we were there for a good many years. But that was really the turning point.
That was, if you said 68 Tet Offensive, if you said Khe Sanh, which gets featured heavily in that, if you just said
Right.
Khe Sanh, somebody goes, all right, so no sudden movements around this guy.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild there. One of the episodes we did that was just absolutely beloved, and it should be because it's what this show is all about. We're shining the light on guys who come in second place. Sonny Liston, former heavyweight champion of the world, an unwanted heavyweight champion of the world. The NAACP was against him being world champion because they felt that he was a poor reflection of what it meant to be a black American. Okay, they had a preferred champion. Only problem is Sonny Liston just knocked the shit out of him twice. So, and by the way, he also did fight the Bayonne Bleeder, Chuck Wepner, so another little Jersey connection there for you. And Wepner said Sonny Liston punched the hardest out of anybody he had ever faced in the ring.
Yep.
So,
And Sonny also was pretty influential in somebody else's career that made a very good living out of knocking people down.
lose your money if you bet on Sonny.
That's it.
Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali, knocking him out twice too, man.
Wow.
But Sonny Liston, also his death still considered suspicious. That's a good way to wind up on this show. Miss Hetty Green, as you covered earlier, Dad, the Witch of Wall Street. This chick's worth millions upon millions, and she wears the same dress every day, doesn't wash her hands, and finds bathing to be a waste of time.
I still see connections to the Wizard of Oz.
There's something
Yeah.
there.
Oh, yeah,
When you look at her face, she is a nasty-looking woman too. But donated a lot towards the end there. So, personal favorite story here: Wrong Way Corrigan.
I love this guy.
Right?
I
Yeah,
think Kahuna had.
I like this one
He
too.
literally. So Lindbergh had this big, important flight, right?
Yes.
A lot of fanfare, and this guy Corrigan had a plane that he pretty much put together with duct tape. All right.
Right.
and chewing gum.
And he was not allowed to go and make this trip, but he would always say, he goes, oh, well, if I ever was to make the trip from New York to, the same flight as Lindbergh, go from New York to, Europe, I'd probably wind up landing in Ireland. I'm Corrigan, I'm Irish. They'd probably have a good time with me over there. And they said, well, you're not allowed to go. All the airline people, the air traffic, everybody's like, no, you're not allowed to do this. You're considering yourself grounded.
Your plane is not worthy of a transatlantic
Yeah.
flight.
So he goes to take off from Long Island. I believe it was Long Island, right? He's taking off from Long Island, and it's a foggy night, and he just accidentally happened to go the wrong way, lands in Ireland, and goes, this isn't California. And,
Wow, how
and they're
could-
just like, come on, you knew what you were doing, right? And Wrong Way Corrigan, he never admitted to it. And then my favorite part is that the New York Times put that article
I
up.
put this up. I told you about
Yep.
this one. The New York Post printed
If you can
the
pop that
article
up for the
about
people
him
to see.
backwards.
Wow.
Hail, wrong way, Corrigan. Yeah, goddamn American hero.
Hey, the man said I can't. Well, screw you.
Yep.
I'm doing it.
Did.
That is, yeah,
And
I
he
think he's
did.
Irish.
Right.
And he had like hidden the plane away after that happened, right? Or like,
Yeah, he
or tried.
but then they brought it out for like the anniversary of that flight. But
I love that story.
part of that story too was during the
Hey,
anniversary.
Chris Hewitt, by the way. Just hello to Chris Hewitt. Hello, Matt Dalzell, Brian
right.
Scott. We got a lot of people coming through right now.
Hey, there
Appreciate
we
that.
go. There we go.
And the full audio of this will be available tomorrow. We'll make that work, man. Life is good. What were you saying, LP?
Well, with
we got three
Corrigan,
more losers to cover after.
One of the things that I liked about Corrigan is that during, I think it was like 50 years later, in celebration of the anniversary of him pulling this stunt off, they reassemble his plane. They take it out of storage and reassemble the plane. He's at this air show kind of a thing, but they had to tie his plane up to a police car because they were afraid, as a 70-year-old man, he was going to jump into the cockpit and do something crazy
Which,
all over
if
again.
cousin Megan is still listening, Wrong Way Corrigan is your father. That's Uncle Bobby. It really is him.
Right.
We got into Jeff Quinton joined the show as a member of the Patreon a little bit later on. Fellow Navy veteran, great guy. I enjoy talking with him. And Jeff loves South Carolina history, and he actually goes past a monument all the time that's dedicated to a guy by the name of Narciso Gonzalez. Narciso Gonzalez wrote political takedown pieces, hit pieces, about the very, very corrupt South Carolina government. How it was like the governor's cousin and nephew and everybody. It's like weird. It's one family seems to all be ruling everything. So a political machine, a Tammany Hall-like machine that was running South Carolina, pretty much gets ended by a if you want to talk, the pen is mightier than the sword. Narciso Gonzalez wrote this hit piece taking him down, and boom, how does that guy respond? Shoots him dead in the street.
Right.
Gets away with it too, but his political future is ruined. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was a nephew or something that took him out, right?
Yes, who was going to be being groomed for the next big thing.
Right.
So, yeah, Narciso Gonzalez has a monument now made to him in his honor because you know what? That is the thing that people always forget. There's a freedom of the press.
Right.
And this
The
guy
pen
died
might be
for that.
mightier than the sword, but don't bring a pen to a sword fight.
It's very true. It's and again, that's a true thing as well. This guy died for his belief in the freedom of the press.
Right.
So he's kind of a hero in that regard.
That nobody knows about.
Oh, yeah.
Again, American
No one
ones
knows
are,
about.
High quality.
Oh, yeah. By the way, Patreon, just $3 a month. You can join and get a bonus episode, okay? If you want to donate the $5, go for that. If we lost you on the Patreon, I want you back. I want you back. Baby, I've changed. I've changed. I'm working on myself. And it means a lot to me here. We got two more losers that we're just going to talk about, and then we're going to let Ming get back to whatever he's doing. We're trying, brother. But it does mean a lot to me. The support for this show has been overwhelming. My favorite things that happen in comedy is when people scream Jersey or KP at me when I'm walking off the stage. And then our good friend and Patreon supporter, founding loser, Marion Flanell, saw me up in Poughkeepsie. And I was in such a rush to get on the stage because I was running late. I couldn't even understand. And he's German, I believe. So he has a good German accent.
Yeah.
And he screams, American loser, as I'm walking up on stage. And I knew what he meant, but everyone else is just like, this guy's, really? We're going to start, are we having a fight here?
Who's this foreigner?
Yeah.
Calling me out.
What are you doing? But people scream American loser a lot of the times. People come up to me and tell me that they listen to the show. They've checked it out. I got to say thank you to a couple of people real quickly. The great Bobby Kelly's been bringing me out on the road with him, and that means a lot. We gave him a founding loser sticker.
Yeah, when it led us into the next episode, but that's all right.
It sure did. So that part was great. I got to thank my pal Chris DiStefano. Chris has let me promote my stuff on his podcast. He had a great show called History Hyenas with him and Giannis Pappas. And it was there we covered the USS Indianapolis on their episode, and that we then covered as a Patreon episode. And I got the greatest compliment from Matt Bruno Fellman. He goes, as soon as that episode was over, I started it over again because I just couldn't believe the shit I was hearing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Like a doll's eyes.
That's right.
So, But this brought us right into. I said Bobby Kelly. You said Machine Gun Kelly. Machine Gun Bobby Kelly. Oh man.
Yeah, my mother's maiden name is Kelly, so it's all good.
Absolutely, the great Chris Covert, who's really I didn't realize this. My genesis story of getting to become friends with all you guys, Ming, is from Covert for the O'Halloran roast. That's how I met all of you.
What a weird catalyst, for sure.
That's right. He's that Chris Covert is. First of all, hysterical, and I got to work with him. We performed for the cast and crew of Clerks 3 over at the Vogel. It was pretty great, but we did this episode to help promote that, which I believe he wound up coming close to selling out. We covered a guy by the name of Machine Gun Kelly, and he was a total badass, right? At least that's what his wife would have you
Well, that's
think.
what the media, his wife's...
Oh, yeah.
Nick Franco has the
he had
perfect comment.
a great publicist, his wife.
Pop Gun Kelly.
Yeah.
Yep, that's what they started calling him because when he finally got sent to Alcatraz as one of the, I believe he was a public enemy. He wasn't number one. He was a public enemy,
Yeah,
though.
he was on the list.
And J. Edgar Hoover got to brag about taking him down. And then when he was in prison, he was just a model prisoner. And then he would say, like, yeah, I'm a real badass. I just do this stuff all the time. And the other prisoners were like, nerd. This guy's so full of shit, man. You ever notice all of his fish get away before he can take a picture of them?
Right.
So, that's right. But he was a piece of work on that one. And a guy who chased him down our most recent episode, which I loved doing. I think it was very, very important. Our last Patreon episode that we did was about Spiro T. Agnew, who, if you don't know about him, you gotta. All right, that is one of the most important people in American history, and not for good reasons. But the final regular episode that we did was about Melvin Purvis. Ming Chen, do you know any? First of all, does that name strike fear in your heart?
Not at all. I have no idea who Melvin Purvis is.
What if we told you his
How about the
nickname
name,
was?
though? I mean, is that like just by Melvin?
Yeah, doesn't strike any fear. However,
What if we told you his nickname was Little Mel? Would that make you afraid of
Little
him?
Mel, not really.
Yeah. Melvin Purvis was probably the most successful FBI agent of all time. He tracked down, he was involved, first of all, the movie Public Enemies tells the story completely out of order. We found that one out. It was very annoying. So it was pretty wild to figure this thing out because I really wanted that movie to be right, but it's not. He is in charge of the manhunt that eventually leads to the death of John Dillinger,
Wow.
Public Enemy number
Yeah.
1, right? After that, you got to have Public Enemy number 2 get promoted to Public Enemy number 1, which might be out of order here, but I believe the next one was Pretty Boy Floyd.
Yeah.
So then Pretty Boy Floyd gets shot by Little Mel. So Little Mel hunts down John Dillinger and his boys take him out. Then he hunts down Pretty Boy Floyd, and the rumor is that he shot him himself. Okay. Then there's going to be another one, this guy by the name of Babyface Nelson, who his takedown is going to occur at something, they called it a battle. It wasn't even a shootout. It was a battle. And he's involved with that one as well. He also, I believe, helped chase down Machine Gun Kelly, and I believe he was slightly involved in the Carpus and Ma Barker gang takedowns. So
You know, you've heard all of those names of the bad guys.
for
but
sure.
You never really heard
Nope.
the name of Melvin Purvis.
Nope.
Well,
and there's a reason why, because he was getting a little bit too popular to the point where J. Edgar Hoover was like, well, really, I mean, I don't understand. I do all the work. I
Yeah,
don't understand.
he got too jealous while trying on Mom Barker's wardrobe.
Yeah.
But that was good old Melvin Purvis. He wound up dying under suspicious circumstances in what is deemed either a suicide or an accident. But that's how you get on this show, guys, when you want to have something weird with that. You got someone else coming in here. We got an hour car ride home. I got 2 Guinness left, too. We'll figure it out as we go.
Work to be done here.
Ming Chen, a beautiful partnership, a wonderful friendship. Thank you so much for it, all right?
thank you, sir.
And congratulations on 3 years.
3 years. No one thought we could do it.
Yep. I appreciate it. And yeah, seriously, anytime anyone asks, you're in a studio, Abe, what you got coming out of there? Any good podcasts? And you guys always come up first.
I
Always.
appreciate it. You hear that,
Always.
Ken Krantz? You hear that? And to the friends we've gotten to make, a lot of them showing up in the comments here tonight. You mean a lot to us. The founding losers, you guys are the reason why the show can continue.
Yeah, the Patreons. If it weren't for the Patreons, we wouldn't be sitting here after 3 years.
It's absolutely true on that one. And we got to meet our kahuna out of this whole thing, too. So we love you guys. LP, you want to say something nice to the people on the way out?
I would love to say something nice to the people. And we just appreciate you guys so much. And wholeheartedly, without your support, this wouldn't happen. Please continue to support it,
Yeah.
because I'm just having a great time here, even though My son is making me write a lesson plan weekly, which I've never done in my 34 years of teaching.
Retirement, baby. Well, just know this. I love you for doing it. Thank you so much. And you guys out there, it does not happen without you. From a Shared Universe podcast studio, I'm KP Burke, and I'm an American loser.
It don't matter what I try, I just can't win and I don't know why. There's a fork in every road, I pick the wrong one and then I go. American loser, yes I am, disenfranchised from everything. Well, I fall up and I fall down, an American loser the day I was born.